Welcome to Alert Tales, where we dive deep into the most gripping stories of real-life experiences. If you love tales that evoke emotion, spark conversation, and connect us all, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our community for more captivating stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. My grandfather was always a bit of a hard ass but had a big heart. Anytime anybody talked about him, it was always about the money. It was always this wall that kept us from really seeing him as a person, I think. I personally tried to estrange myself from it since I just wanted a relationship with my papal. And it makes me feel immoral or slimy to be talking about this, but it is not lost on me how privileged and blessed I am. My grandfather passed away a few weeks ago, and I just spoke with my aunt who informed me on Thanksgiving that I'm going to inherit $2.5 million from my grandfather. It is all in a revocable trust, and I seriously have no idea what to do or how to feel. I have never had more than $5,000 to my name at one time, so this is going to be quite the shift of financial planning for me. I'm only 28 and was planning on law school, but would I even need to at this point? I plan on paying off all my minimal debts and possibly fixing up my house. However, I need like a long-term plan to know how to make this money work for me, possibly just throwing it in index funds and living off the interest. Would that be too slow in gains? What would I even do if I get it all set up? Any resources or tips from people who have experienced this? So, I worked for a company a few years ago that worked with technicians. Some details may be a little fuzzy as it has been a while and it was all secondhand info. There was a tech who went out to a house in Roanoke, Virginia, and when he got there was a single woman inside. He was trying to ask her questions, and she kept saying the boss was gone. There wasn't really any furniture, it was pretty much bare in the parts of the house he could see. He needed in the basement though, for I think it was the fuse box, so he walked around the house trying to find a way in. He started to be able to hear screaming, and not 100% sure how, but he was able to find a way into the basement and found 7 women chained up. He called my boss to ask what he should do, and she called her boss who said that he needed to get out of there and call police. So the tech got out and told the woman he'd originally met that he left some tools in his truck that he needed to go get. Then he went around the corner of the block, I believe, to a diner where he called police. The cops came and did an investigation and saved the women. The man who had hired the company in the first place called later that day to ask where the tech was and how the installation was going. So as far as I know of, he didn't know the women were gone at that point. An investigator talked to my boss who said the tech needed to go out there and finish the job like nothing was wrong. I don't know what happened after that, and occasionally I scour the internet for any info, but I haven't found anything. I hope the women are at least safe now. I work part-time in customer service. I'm about 6 months postpartum, and about a year ago, a regular customer started taking a liking to me. Not in a weird or creepy way, but a genuine friendship. My customer is an older man in his 70s or 80s, and when he befriended me, he was going through many health issues. I learned a lot about him. He has no kids, no partner, no family. He only spoke of a long-lost love that he had to part with in Europe due to some sort of disagreement about the future. He came in just about every day to talk to me, about anime, LOL, and would email me links to songs he liked and pictures of his garden. He's a wholesome man. I got pregnant with my long-term partner's child, and suddenly, I just couldn't find the energy to socialize with anybody. I stopped emailing him. I felt guilty, but I had so much going on. Then I went on maternity leave. I finally saw him for the first time this past week, and he let me know he's going into surgery this coming week, and he's having many health complications. Next thing I know, he's talking about leaving his house to me. On one hand, I'm extremely grateful to even be considered for a gift so big. He has a giant house in a nice neighborhood not too far from my job. The school in the neighborhood is amazing, and all I can think about is giving my child the life I never had. We jumped around from rental to rental when I was growing up. On the other hand, I feel extremely guilty for thinking this way. He is going through so much, and I'm the person he wants to leave his estate to. A random woman who showed him kindness at a vulnerable point in his life. I just don't know how to feel about this. I feel conflicted. I know if this were to happen, it'd be a long and stressful process. But I don't know. I, a 36-year-old man, hung out with my family for Thanksgiving. It gave me time to see how incompatible my sister Katie, who is 41, is with her husband Mark, who is 39. They met on Match around 14 years ago, in the earlier days of online dating. Before she met him, she had always dated really good guys who I was always great friends with. one I am still friends with. Once she opened a match profile as a mid-20s successful pretty girl, she got more messages per week than she could even read. I think some days she was north of 100 messages. As most guys and girls would likely do, she only opened messages from the most attractive matches based on their cover photo, then eliminated many matches based on their profile. 6 months later, she has her boyfriend and now husband Mark. Mark is a stud on paper. He's tall, fit, successful, and good-looking. In the beginning, I remember her pointing out how good-looking he is. Mark has always been super insecure, and it's only gotten worse with time. She looked past it due to his beliefs aligning with her, his good career, and his attraction. Fast forward to now, 14 years and 2 kids later, they aren't happy and are definitely not compatible. Mark needs some sort of therapy but isn't willing to go, and my sister is surrounded by all these nerdy guys at work that are far better matches for her, and she knows it. Mark does not have the same sense of humor and holds back his anger with my sister constantly, which turns to resentment. We think that they will divorce, but time will tell. It has me sitting here thinking how superficial online apps make all of us. We will all go for the most attractive profile we can get, and potentially throw far better matches away for superficial reasons. We convince ourselves to marry these people because they are the most attractive match we could get, and on paper, we align on topics. Then we don't understand why we don't feel those super strong feelings of love. We don't understand why we aren't excited for being married. We don't understand why we are interested in people outside the relationship. As I sit here watching my Catholic grandma and atheist grandpa celebrate their 75th wedding anniversary, talking about how lucky they are to have found each other, I wonder why we are so fixated on finding someone with similar beliefs and cast away those who don't align with what we think we want. On paper, they are a terrible match. They would have never met and would have never had such fulfilling lives together. My grandma would have found a nice Catholic guy who looked good in profile pictures and probably divorced long ago. We all need to delete our dating apps and go back to meeting out in the wild. This would mean approaching others and getting approached. Having to talk face-to-face with strangers. Of course, none of this will ever happen, so I'll just stop now. Edit. I'm not saying that every relationship from an app is bad or every other relationship is good, just speculating about the likelihoods of success for each. Also not suggesting that dating is now bad and was great pre-internet. Just that the apps have pushed us to be more superficial than we would otherwise be in choosing a match, and that being superficial is less likely to result in a long-term marriage. Everything is likelihoods. Therefore, even if I say something is not likely and I'm somehow right, you may still know a dozen people in the less likely pool of people.